It knows no fun. No, it's not. Thanks for that information on the 72 West project, the mayor wants that info.
Yeah, well, I mean, wasn't a whole lot of info other than we're still just waiting. Sounds like more than likely they'll kick it off, next year.
Next year. And, which, I don't know which part of the nighttime, the stuff in the city limits is gonna be daytime, and then
Yeah, I think we relaxed that up to about Farmington.
Farmington is a cutoff.
Yeah.
Jake?
Howdy. How's everybody today?
Good, man, how are you?
Okay. Does anybody get in touch with you about?
No, I've heard what?
Upgrade Chicago just north of Hopper.
Yes.
You want to maintain Chicago?
Correct.
So that ditch, you guys maintain that ditch as well, or is it on the property?
It's down on one on the property owner.
You're probably gonna hear from the property owner over there.
I've heard from some before, but it's been several years. So.
I guess this might be a new owner.
Okay.
Well, Rodney, I think I just pulled that up. I had that a little bit backwards. They said maybe tentatively they might start asphalt in August, but they don't know for sure.
Okay.
But the concrete work could be, will more than likely be pushed back
And then he came back in. That's not
to the following year.
The concrete work would just be the median?
There's some concrete work at the intersection of 25 and 72, some full depth repairs. And then there's some concrete work.
We got a pipe coming.
I think that's pretty much it, was right there at that section. And that would all be nighttime light.
Was there any thought in, you know, how Washington gets there at the intersection there, sand trucks? Was there any thought to go there? I know it's just one by.
I'm sure we thought about it, but probably pulled it out. I mean, we had trouble bidding that one in general. So.
Lucky to get it.
That's been an issue before.
It's
But it's been a few years, like I said, since I've heard.
You know, really,
Not too many of them.
it's something we ought to explore a little bit more. But if we ever could even do like its own standalone project or something.
Yeah, just concrete.
Yes.
But
you know.
I know it's getting some concrete, but let me see if I can say.
When you said that,
I think we're just doing concrete
I know. Brent.
repairs, but I can't remember exactly, to be honest.
there might be some curb and gutter up and down 72 that's blown up that's in this place too. This might be part of it.
Oh. Yeah, they're working that way though. No.
You just need to bill for it. I was gonna give you a heads up.
Oh, yeah.
You had heard.
Yeah, no, I haven't.
It's gonna give you
I'm sure
back
it's coming
story.
in, yeah, that's fine.
And Brent said you.
Yeah, that's fine.
I didn't want to speak for you. Your rules.
Hopefully, if it needed, I'd put it through there. Okay. Say the backside of the wood be well off of us, you know, but anyway, you know.
Now we have.
Oh, you didn't have any cows, did you?
It's right on the dot.
I always tell you, Right on that dot.
There.
Home on chambers.
There should be. Like I said, I would. You see that quite a bit.
Big problem.
Yeah, yeah, too. I'll think I'll see, we'll take a look at it and see what happens. Typical. No, yeah, what you feel, bro.
Ryan's out today.
They really get more and more that way anymore. So, everyone.
You there?
How concerned are you? How are you taking? See trouble over here. Yeah. Cameras, unimpaired.
You're six.
Well, I rolled in at 11 o'clock, so I've got 11 o'clock. We'll go ahead and get started. Start with introductions. Marla, if you want to go.
Sure, Marla Mills, KLG Engineering and SEMPO staff. Jenny Smith, Executive Director, CTA.
Dr. Christian, CMO RPC.
Alan McAvoy, Central Staff.
Rodney Bulger, City of Jackson.
Morning, everyone. I'm Jake Knudsen, representing the county of Cape Girardeau.
Jake Gerard, City of Cape.
Mark Phillips, Cape Special.
Chris Crocker, MoDOT.
And online, we have Dan's iPhone, Michael Brandon, and Mike Henderson.
All right, move on to adoption of the agenda. Any comments, changes? I'm done. I'll move to adopt. Second.
Second, Phillips.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Minutes were included in the packets. So we have two. One of those was not form, I think.
Yeah, one was not informed, so it doesn't need official action, but Thursday we provide notes for committee to review.
So, if there aren't any comments, Chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved, Phillips.
Second, Rodney. Motion and a second. Any other comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I'll reserve the comments for the member reports. Do we have any public comments? Hearing none, we'll move on to new and unfinished business. We'll start with, I should never come. No, actually, this is good. Yeah, I forget. Yeah, I want.
No, you need to be here.
Okay, election of officers for people who are not here. Ryan is not here. What do we need? Just chair and vice chair?
Yep.
We can do those, I guess, as a slate if we want, or we can do them individual.
Yes, and just for folks that may be unaware, it's a one-year term. The chair runs congruently with our fiscal year, so they'll begin their term July 1. And the responsibilities are to go through the agenda. And then in the absence of a chair, our vice chair will go through the agenda. So we just need someone willing to do what Drew's doing today for our fiscal year 25.
It is as much fun as it looks.
Alex, am I about ready to flip to the board, or is it our 2-year?
Yes, I believe so. To the bottom of our,
Oh, it is.
yeah, June 20. So the county was effective July 2022, and that'll end this June. So July 1.
July start, okay.
Yeah, the county will switch with special road district, and then transit will switch with the university
I thought this was.
as voting members on the board, still board members, just vote. All right, if nobody's jumping up for it, do we all want to nominate Ryan for the chair?
I think so.
If someone will bravely volunteer to be a vice chair. Vice. All right. Or we'll see how much he cries when we tell him next week. We'll give him the consolation of vice chair.
Feel like you're giving him something.
Yeah. Need a motion?
For Ryan for chair and myself for vice chair. We have a motion for that. Celine?
Motion made by Knudsen.
And do we have a second?
I second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, 2024 MoDOT unfunded needs list.
All right, I'll refer you to your handouts here. For our unfunded needs list, it is exactly as it sounds. There are hypothetical scenarios in which MoDOT receives money that they were not anticipating. And they now have additional funds to fund projects that are not currently in their statewide transportation improvement program. So illustrative hypothetical list of needs that we have where there's currently no funds. We could start with the road and bridge. These are your one pagers here. The Excel tables. Okay, yeah, the road and bridge is actually front and back. This was the list that was provided to MoDOT last year. So all the projects that we had last year are being carried over. And this is our opportunity to add additional projects, take projects off, and or re-rank our tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. And MoDOT has indicated that they would need this list finalized by the end of the month. So we'll need a recommendation to the board based on this list for their May meeting. So as a quick recap for road and bridge on tier 1, and these are projects that have either had some scoping and are pretty much ready to go. We know what the solution is. We just need the funds to do it. They can be programmed within a 5-year time frame. We have US 61 Shawnee Boulevard intersection improvements. And then also a tier 1, that's our Missouri 25 shoulder work that we had discussed quite at length last year when we added it to the list. We had actually reduced the width of the shoulder from a 10-foot to a 6-foot, just to reduce the project cost. We got down to about 10.1 million with that. Then our tier 2 is I-55 exit 93 interchange. And then our tier 3 was the additional length on 55. We broke that into 3 different phases.
What is a note on the first project? Is that still a relevant note? Or is that
Keep Shawnee on tier 2 removed on the track.
yeah.
That's probably just from last year. Different iterations. One project that I get asked about a lot is the bridge over 55, the Bloomfield Bridge. That is on our list. It has been on our list. And I refer folks to this unfunded needs list when they ask about it. It's just not something that we've been able to get funded yet.
The width of it, Alex?
The width.
Hey, Alex, what exactly is the, I've heard various stories
on the need for that over the years. In fact, really kind of the last I had heard was a couple of years ago. I believe it was from Mr. Payne. Uh, kind of like, he was advocating for it, and then he's kind of like started saying that it's not as hot as it used to be. What's driving that, or what's the vision, or what do you guys think you're wanting to see there?
What I hear is a wider bridge, being able to accommodate pedestrians and better, traffic flow. It crosses over to a heavily commercialized area, so we see it as also kind of an economic development driver.
There's no like thinking about extra lanes or a turn lane or anything like that. It's just about having more width
And pedestrian access.
and pedestrian access. Okay.
I also hear about the condition, but I know that MoDOT has done recent inspections, and from your inventory, it really doesn't stand out as
No,
structurally.
right. It seems kind of stout still. Okay, thanks.
I think it's valid, there's some pending development going on in that area that will occur big time in the next 3 to 5 years.
Do pedestrians use it much now?
I hope not.
Yeah, well, it kind of represents the only conduit, realistically for the pedestrian, but you have Mike Peters doing that, the residential development in there behind Menards. The ground behind Menards is slated for some commercial development, and then obviously the ground right there on the corner, what would be east of Menards, was real close to a major project also, so I think it's certainly worthy of conversation.
Okay, that helps me a lot too. I appreciate it. I will also say this, and I was going to chime in later. This we're capturing a lot of the inflation now that we hadn't really caught before, and it was even probably some too generous assumptions on how inflation was going to react over the past year or two that we've updated this. So I'll say all that to say a lot of these jobs that are in there now, a lot of people are keeping their lists the same. Their estimates are going to go up, way up, and we do anticipate having to do a lot of trimming to stay fiscally constrained. So just going ahead, I'm kind of telling that to people as I talk to them, so I'm throwing that out to you guys now, and just something to consider as you're looking at your needs here. So.
Thank you.
Alex, forgive me for doing this, but as a new member of this group, can you just give a Reader's Digest version on actually what the priorities and or the tier 1, tier 2 timing, funding? I hate to do that to you, but just maybe a brief summary that allows me to apply some of the terminology.
So tier 1, and Mike, if I butcher this, feel free to interject. But tier 1, you're looking at projects that are, they've gone through some scoping, they've identified what the need is, they've identified how they'd like to solve it. And it could be accomplished within a 5-year time frame if we had the funds. So it's a project that's pretty much ready to go. It just needs the funds to be able to accomplish it. Tier 2 is 5 to 10 years out. Probably doesn't have a lot of scoping. It would take a little while if we got the funds to develop the project. And then tier 3 is even further out and even more pie in the sky with no scoping at all.
So MoDOT doesn't give a damn about tier 2 or tier 3.
Well, they've actually used this list more as a communication tool to legislators to show them, yes, we have funds. Yes, you're dedicating a lot of money toward roadways, but look at all these other needs that aren't funded out there.
Okay.
And then when funds do become available, having the project on this list goes a long way to say this has been a priority for the community.
That makes sense.
It's also beneficial, if you ever submit a cost share application, it's not a requirement that it be on the unfunded needs list. But it certainly looks good when you're asking for those split funds,
Yeah,
that it's a regional need. You know, if you go out road and you're asking for a cost share project and it's not even identified as a priority for the region, it can be a tougher sell,
yeah.
at.
So while nobody in here, maybe other than Marla, I would imagine that was probably how LaSalle got pushed to the forefront. And then I could have seen that being a tier 2 or tier 3, but because of the region need of that, meeting the needs of Jackson, Kate, the county, the university, that may have jumped up on the list from a funding standpoint.
I don't know, because that one's already awarded, so it was probably
Yeah, that was
done beforehand. This is a fairly new process,
before, that was even before the NPO,
was it?
I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
But I guess
but I guess,
hypothetically.
yeah.
But in theory, that was probably the path that traveled, and then the process got formalized.
Could be, yeah, could be. We
Okay,
didn't even realize you were doing it, but I wasn't there and then, so I don't know.
interesting.
I'm gonna muddy that up a little bit more. And that was like spot on. That's what we tell people, Alex. The tier 1 is kind of deliverable. It could go in now. Tier 2, and really we kind of added a little bit to it. We kind of say tier 3 is almost an extension of tier 2, but those could be jobs that are more illustrative and more farther out, requiring more work. So for that brief time that we had money before inflation and after the gas tax, we were actually able to go to this list and basically wipe tier 1 clean. We got everything off of it except for one project, and that project technically really probably should have been on tier 3. And we still had some money left over, and we went ahead and got some stuff off of tier 2 and tier 3. So we were able to get some of those. And the way our district does it, it's unique in the sense that how we divide the money out to our 5 planning partners is the same way that central office divides the money to us. So now each region has a fiscally constrained piece to do, and each region likes to kind of spread it around their entire area. They like each county to get a project or two. So the fiscally constrained part can make it kind of hard to get all that squeezed into tier 1. So that's why sometimes you will see a rather simple project on a tier 2 or tier 3, like adding rumble stripes to a road. So I want, if you see that, I want to kind of, the rumble stripe's not a big, huge project and very, takes all this studying, but it's just kind of the way we distribute it through our district. And, after everybody gets their illustrative projects in there, if there's any money left, or some county hasn't had representation and they want rumbles on the road, we can't get it squeezed into tier 1, that can fall into tier 2 and 3. But in general, that is where tier 2 and 3 is where everybody sees their projects that, theoretically, they may be kind of ready to go. We got some of 4 lane 67 that, from a being ready point, could be on tier 1, but the way we divide out the money, it wouldn't fit financially on tier 1, so we put it on tier 2 and 3. And as the money does become available, that's all being worked on. That can go straight to the list, regardless if it's just on tier 2 or tier 1.
Thank you. That's a great explanation. I just have one more comment, then I'll be done. And do these projects bubble up or get on the list purely through this group?
Yes, correct.
Thank you.
Now we get a lot of these lists, and I hear about this a lot. when we get the list, we don't just take it and go. Some of the projects are more viable or better than others. If we have add shoulders to a low volume road, a road with 150 cars, and we do get that ask, and sometimes it's even high up on the list. Versus further down on the list, there's a significant safety improvement request on a road with 3,000 cars a day. We're probably going to go down and grab that one before we grab that low volume road one. We kind of look at how it benefits our system too. So we may rearrange the order of it some in working with our partners, but the actual what gets on the list and comes to us, it comes straight from you guys.
Thank you.
Alex, since there are, looks like 3 projects that are currently on the STIP, including that tier 2, 555. Widener. Do those need to stay on if they're in the STIP? Or can they come off, or what's the process for once they appear on the STIP?
I think are you talking about exit 93?
Yeah.
I think that one was more of the larger scale redesign, that's why we had that in there. That's kind of why you see the large 22 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, what we got in there now, basically, I think addresses there at Silver Springs, I think, and 61 as you come off the interstate there. At that signal.
There's some rehab work on the flyover bridge and then a couple of the bridges on the actual interstate as well. That will buy us some time before the bridge needs completely replaced. So that's why it's probably still on there.
Okay. I guess I was just asking, is there any way to bump up Alex, your Bloomfield Road, or pass somewhere to tier 2 or tier 3?
Yeah, that's true. Wants to make a recommendation to make that a tiered project.
Is there a maximum number of projects you can identify as tier 1, 2, or 3? And we got 2 1s, 1, 2, and 1 3.
Mike has a budget he tries to keep us in.
Gotcha.
We never stay in it.
No, not at all.
That's sure.
Which ones are you saying is in the STIP?
They're highlighted in bold, the tier 2 I-55, before we just talked about the $22 million. Interchange at exit 93, it says it's in the STIP.
Oh, gotcha.
And then the two at the bottom, Route K, of course, the Notre Dame high school improvements, and the one below that, Route AB.
The exit 93 would need to stay because within the STIP, it's not it's just a part of what the total ask is. The other two. Are those other two I think the Route K, that's being done. Right?
Yeah.
Is the AB, is that that's just a scoping project, or is that the project that we're looking for that's in the STIP?
How about tier 1, Missouri 25?
No, the second to last, Route AB. It says it's in the 22-26 STIP.
With a conditional commitment.
Is that just an overlay, or what is it? What is it?
Sure.
Favor fair?
Mike, did you know offhand if the Route AB project, County Road 217 to I-55 is a project that was in your STIP?
Yeah, that was, I think, a where we diamond ground. I think that was just like a pavement job. I'm trying to recall where that county road is. I'm about ready to get it pulled up here.
Kiwa. It's the one just on the west side of Kiwa.
Yeah, that was just us kind of addressing that rough pavement.
Okay.
And that should be done. I need to drive that. I haven't been on that yet, but that should be done now.
I can take that one off.
Was that one they issued?
I don't remember that one. This was I think we started in 2019 with this list, and it was actually, Ryan Trimplin and Kelly Green that helped with the initial development of it, so I inherited some projects that probably not can come off.
Well, I wouldn't want to add the Bluefield Road overpass to tier two, obviously for budget constraint, but well, tier three is same way. Where would we add it if you had your druthers?
The additional lane was identified on I-55, the additional lane north and south. It was identified in our Metropolitan Transportation Plan, our long-term plan that MPO has, as a need that would arise by 2045. Traffic volume would have gotten to a point where it would be rated as quote unquote congested. Trying to remember, Bloomfield, I know was in our MTP as well. We had it in the illustrative project list of needs where there is no funding. And I can't remember all the details we had with it, but essentially they proposed to have it widened and better pedestrian access.
Yeah, so when I-55 gets an additional lane in both directions, does that mean that all the overpasses get replaced too?
I don't know. Would you guys replace all the overpasses if we had an additional lane on 55?
What happens?
It would probably be similar to what they're doing right now with the design build contract on I-55 in Festus, that they only accommodate the ones that they have to. Yeah. And I think I-70 is being treated the same way. You know, there's bridges that are several years old, and if they don't have to impact them, they're not going to.
I think what they had estimated too, I think was looking at adding a lane on the inside. You know, and that may
Yeah.
get you closer to some of those columns, so they probably have some sort of barrier protection or something like
A
that,
barrier.
but yeah.
Right away.
Right. Right.
So if the Bloomfield Road, I guess, were to be reconstructed, you'd have to take that into account that, you know, there could be some widening to the inside or outside, and you wouldn't want to build it to accommodate any additional lanes on 55. You want to bump that up to, I mean, it's been stagnant. It hasn't moved the overpass since we put it on here.
I think it's a good idea. Alex brought it up when we talked about it.
Mike, I think the MPO has, is it like 18.5 million for tier two and 18.5 for tier three?
Pulling it up, MPO tier one, 4.7 million and 18.6 for tier two and 18.6 for tier three. Now we do, you know, we're not married to those numbers. Like he said earlier, you guys have gone way over that sum, and it generally kind of comes from, depending on the nature of the project, it may come out of CMO's section sum or the Boot Hill. You know, exit 93 could certainly be something you could see kind of right there at near Boot Hill's line also. So we play that around some, but yeah, that's basically the numbers that you're looking at.
So we give a little, but I can tell you that what would the estimate be for the Bloomfield Bridge? Like, I mean, just because we don't have one here, like, what are we thinking? 20 million? 15?
No.
Oh, for the Bloomfield Bridge itself, I don't think it'd be that much.
2.4.
Oh,
Yeah.
because it's full interchange.
Yeah. That's a ballpark.
Yeah.
And then when you talk about adding a lane on a 55, I mean, I expect that. I mean, I think if I remember right last time, I had to look at it was probably well over 8 million a mile.
It's probably not comparable, but the section that they're doing right now on I-55, that's like a couple $100 million project, design build project, but they have a lot of structures from that, through that segment.
So do we need a motion to move the project, or we just?
Yeah.
Move it and then make a motion to the document.
Yeah, kind of establishing a list next to each other and then a motion to make the recommendation to the board.
So it's been recommended to bump the Bloomfield Bridge up to, I would almost say tier 2, because that is the lower existing development. 22 versus just kind of what I had.
I make the motion, Knudsen.
So we got tier, just so we're all on the same page, tier 1 stays the same. Tier 2 is the existing project as listed with the addition of the Bloomfield Bridge. And then tier 3 stays the same. Are we all in agreement for that?
Yes.
All right, so was that your motion?
Yeah, sounds perfect.
So we have a motion. Do I have a
Hey,
second?
well, hey, Drew, hold on a second. So, okay, so how does this fit in here?
It's extra.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are killing me, Smalls.
You're hoping they take something off, just take it off.
Yeah, because I believe your guys' total, you know what I told you had on tier 1 was 4.7. You're at 12 right now. You got 18.6 each for tier 2 and tier 3, and right now on tier 2 you're at 22.2 and 24.5, so you're way over. And that number is even going to go higher, and we may have to trim that. I really hate to do it. I hate to shorten the I-55 thing. I'd like to get it to go from one exit to another, but I may just have to end it in the middle of nowhere. But that's kind of, we're kind of way over now, and then we're going to go up on these existing jobs. I didn't know what the vision was for squeezing in another one.
So, Chris,
Did we have a second?
on tier 2,
Also,
part of tier 2
Yeah, we're in discussion.
is, we got phase 1 is already funded, isn't it? Which would be the intersection, so that we are taking some off of tier 2.
We already have that all.
But I think probably the 22 million is accounted. That's already accounted
Well,
for,
I'm trying.
because
Trying.
Well, the only other thing I'd say for justification here is maybe feeding into my original question for planning. As the city of Cape embarks on TTF 7 and are gonna be looking at projects to include, they might be willing to prioritize this in a way of some of their proposals for TTF 7 too, to work in a cost share or something like that also. I see his head turning, I love that cost share idea.
especially that we've already done some of the studies.
Right, and so to me, I didn't hear it be that much of a budgetary issue as much as a planning issue. That it might make sense, because I would hope that TTF 7 committee would look at this. And as they prioritize, how much of their proposal goes to maintenance, which they've gone to almost 50% on now, rightfully so. But in terms of other projects, far be it for me to say that Bloomfield Road deserves to be a priority. That to me would come from the city and their planning. And if they know more about the economic development that is potentially occurring over there and what the needs are. And I'm not an expert on this by any means, but I know a cost share arrangement might make that more of a reality.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason I suggest. Yeah.
got a motion and a second. Mike, I can work with you on,
Mike's a number.
if we have to start scaling back portions of, tier two. Cause I think this group is saying that we wanna be able to communicate that that project is a high importance to the group. Mike's like, I hate you. Yeah, he does.
Call the neighbors, call for a vote.
We'll put in a note here that we extend our apologies to Mike. Brandon. So we've got a motion and a second. The list as was read. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Let's go to board of directors, what we just did, and we'll go through this.
Oh, do we need to,
Alex, did I send you that email with our prioritized project?
do we need to talk about the multimodal ones?
Yes. If you did, it's been a while. Did you send it a while ago?
I would have sent it like a month ago.
I'm not sure that I've gotten it.
I'll make a note to get it back to recently to you.
So on the multimodal, it's this table, obviously with the categories of mode of travel, AB is aviation, BP is bike and pedestrian. WA, I guess water. And then a lot of these projects have been developed by our airport manager, Mandy at Ford, and then this group collectively with the bike head recommended projects. The projects you see with budgetary numbers to them are the ones that we ranked for MoDOT. And this fit within their budget at least last year. Fit-ish within their budget.
First thing I noticed, Alex, is there's 3 projects on here relating to the Jackson Middle School. Route D.
Get that grant, you take it off.
Yeah, we've applied for the TAP grant, so we're really hoping we get that and together we can take those 3 off.
Awesome.
So something other I wanted to point out, just, I think I've talked about this a little bit too, but our district traffic engineer, because the vulnerable roadway users percentage of fatalities is up statewide, it's approaching 15%. We're proactively trying to incorporate projects that would help reduce that number statewide. So that's fairly new. He's looking for potential projects as well that has to be on the state system. So kind of the study that Alex is working on, the
Trail connection study.
yeah, well, your SS4A grant. I'm hoping that maybe something comes from that, or this list that we can point to and say, here's a project we think that we could put those funds towards. So just keep that in mind as you're developing this. Like, I know trails and parks are great and stuff like that, but something that helps address those safety concerns would be easy for us to pick from. I think he said roughly don't quote me on this, but I think he said roughly $1 million a year is what we're gonna have available. I don't know how long that'll be, if those numbers drop.
Is that just for our district?
I thought that was for our district, but again, don't quote me on it, so.
Yeah, with the safety action plan, that's one work element component of it is developing a somewhat comprehensive list of safety issues in the area for the roadway and design. With our trail connection study, we may have more projects we'd like to add to this at the conclusion of that, but this is the list we had developed last year.
What do those costs represent?
Those are MoDOT's budgetary numbers.
So if it's got a dollar amount for selected project, that means that it's included in
What we proposed in our rate,
the 9 million-ish.
yeah.
Couple zeros.
So any revisions, you would like to see those come from corrections, organizations, or?
Unless folks have, projects that they would like to add or take off, I probably mostly work with Mandy, Katrina. And you folks for Bike Ped.
Until Jackson receives a word on our grant application, I just, as far as Jackson's concerned, I just leave the Jackson projects on here the way you go.
Any discussion on any of the multimodal projects?
And I think at the conclusion of our trail study, our Safe Streets and Roads for all study, and then our metropolitan transportation plan, we'll have much more probably new recommendations for these lists. But I think a lot of our conversations are similar to last year with our current list.
Do you want a motion to
Recommend
multimodal?
Yeah.
I'll make that motion, Rodney.
Motion and a second to submit the multimodal list as is recommended to the board. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, now, next up. Regional trail connection stuff.
All right. Well, we had our kickoff meeting last month. Provided a handout of the handout that they had last month that gives an overview of how they're approaching this project. They broke it up into 5 different tasks. With task 1 already be completed, that was our kickoff meeting, and then the site visit. Our consultants came in and biked and rollerbladed our trail systems. Took a good visual inventory of what we currently have. We're now in the discovery phase. That'll go from, well, it started in April, and it'll go through the end of June. That's where they're taking a look at existing conditions, developing vision and goals. They'll be crafting an online survey. And then we'll move into task 3, which is routing analysis. That'll be between July and August. That's where they'll find 3 alignment options. They'll develop an evaluation metric for those alignments, and have some steering committee meetings, and then we'll culminate that with a public meeting. Then we'll move into task 4, where they develop recommendations and an implementation plan. That'll be between September and November. And then that'll bring us to task 5, which will be the draft report and then the final report. Will be issued a draft report. Our steering committee will issue comments. We'll have an opportunity for our board to issue comments, and then we'll hold a public meeting before the board for consideration of approval. And that'll be between December and February. Any questions on our trail study?
All right, moving on, comprehensive safety action plan.
All right, we had our oversight committee meetings on March 7th, and then again on April 11th. We actually just canceled our meeting that was scheduled for tomorrow because they're actively working on developing the administrative draft for our review. They anticipate having the administrative draft by the end of July. That'll give us time to issue comments and have those incorporated. And then we're looking at scheduling a 3rd community open house in October. And then per our grant agreement, we have to have the plan completed by the end of December of this year. We have to have it formally adopted by January of 2025, end of January. And then we have to issue our final report to Federal Highway by the end of March of 2025. Any questions on our safety action plan?
intersection studies.
We've accepted the Route D study, as Rodney had mentioned. And I anticipate a final report for our 621 and Perryville Road this month. So I'll be in communication with our stakeholder group on that report as soon as we receive it.
Any questions on that? Next item, tip tool selection.
We're still in our 3 to 4 month implementation phase. I had a meeting last Friday with them, and every time they go over the interface and how they're able to query different projects, I'm just impressed, and I'm looking forward to going live with that. So once we get that link live, I'll make sure and share it with folks.
Any questions? Origin and destination.
I don't have updates on this, other than I'm promising folks a demonstration of Placer's capabilities. So Drew, and I'll work with Jeremy to schedule probably a meeting in July or August where I just do a demo showing using the software.
Questions on that? All right, we'll move into member reports. City of Cape.
TTF 5, there's really no changes at this time. TTF 6, Lexington is underway. They are working between Sprigg and Old Sprigg on the eastern end of the project. They also have Lexington shut down between Stephen and Chesapeake, closer to Perryville area. They're doing some pipe work across the roadway. There's a detour in place for both of those areas of construction. Please use caution if you have to drive through. They're actually making very good progress so far. It's an 18-month project. Probably will not take them that long if they can keep the pace they're going now. Maintenance projects, we still have Clark between Broadway and Lombardo underway. We'll still have Perryville from Cape Rock north to do this year. The 23 asphalt overlay, the work is all completed. We're closing that project out. 24 asphalt overlay has been awarded to Lapi Cement. There's 2 blocks on South Middle, 2 blocks on South Frederick, and 2 blocks of Jefferson Avenue, kind of west of the River Campus. They have been awarded that project. I think the deadline for that construction is late October. So they should be getting underway on that one soon. We're still working to get our concrete street repair yearly project out the door. We're still looking at doing Cape Rock and Perryville as far as the budget will stretch. Kings Highway, I believe we're getting towards the end of our testing phase. I believe.
Oh, for the signals?
For the
Yeah,
signals.
it's 30 days.
Okay. The punch list is complete. We're working on closeout, I believe, and finishing up testing. So that project is pretty well, for all intents and purposes, done. 74 Minnesota intersection, our cost share. It will be going to council for award on the 6th. Frontabarger Concreters are our apparent low bidder. And then we'll try to get that out the door as quickly as possible so they can get that one under construction. We're still working with our designer on our Cape Rock Drive sidewalks project. And later this afternoon, there's a kickoff meeting for the LaCroix Trail project. I believe that's all we have. Okay.
Right. James.
Yeah, last month we put in 2 grant applications to MoDOT. One of them we already talked about, the Jackson Middle School crosswalk sidewalk improvement project. That was the TAP. We also submitted a governor's cost share program application for the East Jackson Boulevard lighting project between Center Junction and Walmart, more or less. The East Main Street sidewalk project. Looks like Bacon Farmer workmen, engineers are finalizing plans for that project, and archaeological tests were done on 4 properties as required by MoDOT's review process. So moving along on that, hopefully we begin acquiring Eden acquisition shortly. Roundabout project at Highway 61 in Deerwood. Looks like right-of-way acquisition will begin soon by MoDOT. Right-of-way plans have been prepared and sent to MoDOT, and they're awaiting a date approval from central office. And initial concept design for the central signage landscaping is being developed in-house. We will award on Monday our concrete pavement improvement program, our annual program to Puts Construction of Millersville, about $254,000. And the staff is preparing bid documents for our annual asphalt program now. And lastly, our street department is now mowing right of ways, municipal lots, bridges, and street painting operations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cape County.
Lot going on in the county, but most recently they have they received bids on the County Road 516 project. Found it interesting that they had 8 different contractors that bid on that. And so obviously people are competitive in that, which allowed them to get I think a low bid of somewhere around 168,000. But enough funding that through Prop 1 funding. And some other things going on, but that concludes the report at this time for the county.
Cape Special.
We had a bid opening yesterday for our bridge replacement project for this year. We have an apparent low bidder of Sea Hill Civil Contractors out of Campbell Hill, Illinois. They did a bridge for us last year. So I anticipate they probably will be awarded the project. And that should start, that's at the intersection of County Road 643, which is also known as Cape Rock Drive, and County Road 645. And I would anticipate they'll probably be under construction in June and should have a completion by August 31st. So hopefully that goes well.
That's great.
That's it.
CTA.
We were awarded the Thriving Community Grant in conjunction with the city of Cape and the United Way. So we'll know more about that, how that's technical, the ability to help us develop things there. Without costing us any extra funds. But we're just moving on.
Congratulations to you. That was a nice piece of the paper.
Yeah, thanks.
That's real momentum. That's great.
We're just one day at a time.
Yeah.
Still currently on hold. We are in the process of trying to finalize spending our FY24 MoDOT SIP funds. With those funds, we're going to purchase ties for storage tracks 1 and 2 of our loops. We just started advertising, and price bids are due the 21st at 11 o'clock.
The RTC is next. I'm working on some tip updates. I received those from MoDOT. I've been in Tennessee for a family medical emergency the past few days and probably be back in the next few days. So that's working on that. Alex, do we have a tip tool conference call this Friday?
We had one last Friday.
Yeah,
They go every week. Every other week.
we did, but then they asked about it and we shipped it every week now that we're getting.
Then they made us go here. Yeah, probably.
I probably will not be able to make that. If we do have it, I probably. That's, and I was out. Friday.
They're getting close. I wasn't able to answer most of their stuff last time.
Ready?
Hold on.
Just an update on the Route 61 project through Jackson. The sanitary sewer's complete, the water's complete. We've got a couple 100 feet of mainline paving done. We're pouring daily or every other day. The bridge work is still on hold. We're waiting on a larger crane to be brought in. We do hope to have that beginning in about a week or so, once the crane gets back on site. So progress there.
How'd you find out your crane was too small?
Well, I don't know.
At the driver.
I don't know the story to that, but I don't know.
Were they driving pile or what?
Well, they're working on pre-boring right now, floor piling. And I assume when they went to pick something, it wasn't working out for them, so.
Be darned.
But I don't really know the whole story behind that one. The Route 25 and K roundabout work is ongoing. We currently have signals installed at that intersection. The 25 north to eastbound Route K movement, I guess, is where the pavement's tore out right now, and they're working on replacing that pavement in that section. And once they're done with that, they'll reconfigure the intersection to move around, because it is all going to be stage construction. We did hold a public meeting that was very well attended for the Route K corridor improvements from roughly the Notre Dame High School, just west of Notre Dame High School. That includes an additional turn lane all the way into town and 5 right turn lanes variously located throughout the corridor, and then intersection improvements at Cape Notre Dame, which include a couple different locations as well as signalized and a roundabout option. It was a mixed bag of who liked what, so there really was no group consensus on everything. So we heard opinions that just varied throughout the board, so.
But was it general consensus on the improvements? It was just which improvements?
Yeah, well, everyone liked the corridor, the additional lane, into town and the additional center turn lane throughout the project. But where everyone's opinion varied was roundabout versus signals.
Yeah.
You know, and you heard a wide range of arguments for both, so. We'll kind of regroup, look at all of our comments that we had and keep moving on. We hope to start acquiring right away for that project this fall. So we got to pick something and go with it. We had the tap call, and those applications were turned in this past week, and we received, I must have did a really good job marketing for this one. Because we received 18 applications. And of the 18 received, we're 2 million over what we have, which I know from a competitive standpoint is not the greatest thing, but at least we have enough projects to pick good projects, you know, because in the past couple of years, whatever we got was moving through, and some of them weren't the greatest projects. So I was happy to see that. There's, in my opinion, there's some good in having that competitive nature there. So if you haven't already done so, which I don't know, Melissa's taken over the TAP program. She's currently seeking members for that committee to select those projects. So we're going to do the full on review of those projects and score them. And I think we're going to be meeting similar to how we did last year for the BRO call for projects in Poplar Bluff. There will be some form of lunch to entice people to participate in that. But if you haven't got her, who the members are gonna be for that, just try to get with her as soon as you can. And that's probably all I got at this point.
Mike, you got anything?
Yeah, I'll be quick. I had a call as Chris was talking, so I missed some of the stuff he covered, so I apologize if I reiterate, so I'll even be quick. The commission, I guess they wrapped up their meeting a little bit ago. They did award all calls. I think, I'm not sure if that Route Y Cape Bridge is in the MPO. It's a bridge replacement on, over Little Indian Creek, east of 55. And then some of our other, on-call repair contracts for erosion and guardrail and guard cable and some pavement was awarded, so that's a good deal. What else did I have in here? The unfunded needs, yeah, we're working with everybody to update that, and we're trying to get everybody's needs in so we can update our estimates, and then we'll get those back out to our partners with our recommendations, and then if they want to tweak it and move projects around, then we'll try and work to do that. And I think we're going to be working on those between now and May 17th, and then get back out to them. And it's due in our central office database at the end of May. So what we get back out in May, after May 17th, will be the tweaks and all that stuff. So STIP sounds like it got approved today also, and we'll be sending out the draft on that. So hopefully y'all can take a look at that and let us know of any comments or anything like that. So let's see, unfunded needs, STIP. I think that was about it. I didn't have much else. That'll be it.
Glad Mike mentioned the commission meeting that Route 74 the Minnesota Avenue project was in that commission meeting for approval, so it's good to know that they approved everything, so.
Okay. You catch that, thanks.
All right, anything else to run out there?
At school there.
FHWA, let's see.
Betsy Trace is on the line from the Illinois division. I don't have any formal report today. Thank you.
I will look back real quick. I forgot to mention. The RPC does have our next comprehensive economic development strategy meeting for Cape County here in this room at 12:30 today. We got lunch. I'm gonna hang around for that. Staff reports.
Nothing, I mean, that's report.
Any other business or communications? Hearing none, I'll accept a motion to adjourn. So moved, Rodney.
Second, Phillips.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We love it. Thank you, everybody.
I know, it's what they're doing.
Thank you.
Says Melissa. Yeah.
Did we ever get back with you on the?
It took me a
I'll check into that. When I saw you, I was like,
I was actually thinking about that too.